follow all these people. When I'm done, I'm going to bawl my eyes out. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Joel's daughter, Kim. When I was a kid, when I was introduced to someone for the first time, and I was with my dad, the person's usual immediate reaction was most often something like this: "Oh my goodness, you look just like your dad." Or my favorite: "Wow, she's a little Joel." Yeah. Right down to my skinny knock knees. As you can imagine, this was not my favorite comment as a little girl. And I remember thinking to myself, are they saying I look like a boy? It also didn't help that I'm named after my dad. My name is Kimberly Joe. And many people thought it was imperative to follow up their comment about me looking like him with an affectionate, "Oh, aren't you a cute Kimmy Joe?" Of course, after I grew a bit more, it became an absolute honor to bear his name and resemble my father in any manner. Whether it was a physical aspect or a character trait. However, there was one thing I did not get from Dad, and I always wished I had, even when I was a little girl, and that was his eye color. Speaking of his eyes, oh, how I longed for those sparkling eyes, which seemed to change like water, reflecting whatever he was wearing or whatever was around him, and even what was going on in his mind. With my eyes being so brown, they're almost black, I can remember staring at my dad, sometimes hazel, sometimes blue-green, with incredible wonder. I have his remarkably small ears, and I have his baby fine hair and his crackling knee joints, so why not his eyes? It just didn't seem fair. And then I heard a song that forever changed my perspective on this apparent oversight by God, and it made me realize that I could have those eyes. But the choice was up to me, not biology. This song, written in 1979 by Amy Grant, has been with me almost my entire life, and it's brought me comfort whenever I was missing my dad in the months that we were ever apart. Today, I'm going to share a little bit of it with you now, hoping that it will somehow bring you comfort and some of the same peace and encouragement that it has brought me through the years. It goes, "I may not be every mother's dream for her little girl, and my face may not grace the mind of everyone in the world, but that's all right. As long as I can have one wish, I pray. When people look inside my life, I want to hear them say, she's got her father's eyes. Her father's eyes. Eyes that find the good in things when good is not around. Eyes that find the source of help when help just can't be found. Eyes full of compassion, seeing every pain, knowing what you're going through and feeling it the same. Just like my father's eyes. I want my father's eyes." The greatest thing my dad's eyes reflected was the love of God, his heavenly Father. Scriptures tell us that our eyes are windows into our souls. Matthew 6:22 through 23 says, "Your eyes are windows into your body. If you open your eyes wide in wonder and belief, your body fills up with light. If you live squinty-eyed in greed and distrust, your body is a dank cellar. If you pull the blinds on your windows, what a dark life you will have." This is the reason my dad was such a rare and amazing person. He never lost his sense of wonder or belief in the people around him or God. He made a daily choice to keep his heart open to the impossible and to be grateful for everyone and every moment. As a result, my dad's eyes spoke volumes to me about the fundamentals of life. First, Dad's eyes reflected great joy and a hunger for living life abundantly. He was game for anything, as long as his body cooperated, and even in later years, he still did things that most people would have given up on long before. As many of you already know about him, he loved baseball. He loved dancing. He loved swimming at the beach or in the lake, and especially a good meal. There were some things he loved to eat, like Italian sandwiches and morning dew shortbread cookies, and those things will always be a part of my life. And then there are other things, like cheese whiz sandwiches, that I've opted to let go of for some mysterious reason. Yes. But the biggest thing Dad loved and thrived on was relationships. He could talk to anyone, as I think you all have heard, and I never met anyone or even heard of anyone that didn't like him. And when while he was never the center of attention or the life of the party, he was always the guy that people couldn't wait to talk to. He might be sitting over in the corner, but he always attracted lots of people around him. Whether they were 5 years old or 15 years old, yes, he could talk to teenagers, or whether they were even 50. He simply knew how to talk to anyone and bring out the best in them. That's because he had an uncanny way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room, and that whatever was going on in your life was far more important than what was going on in his. I wish all of you could have seen the way my dad's eyes would, and Steve mentioned it, the way my dad's eyes would crinkle when he smiled or laughed, because he did it so well that it was impossible not to smile back at him. There's simply not time today to tell you all the things that brought him joy, but one thing I would challenge us all to emulate was his willingness to seek out joy, find the blessings and the mercies, and focus on them rather than the negatives in a person or in any situation. The second thing my dad's eyes reflected was an unwavering honesty drenched with compassion. For most of us, these two traits are incredibly hard to combine, let alone master in the same moment. But for my father, it seemed to come naturally. Letters from his supervisors, both in the military and in his early job positions, cite a remarkable level of forthrightness, earnestness, and conscientiousness for such a young man. While many would have said my dad was kind of quiet, I think that's a bit of a misinterpretation. My dad was thoughtful and honest, and if he wasn't 100% sure of what to say, or if something was entirely true, then he just simply didn't say it. He didn't feel the need to fill the silence. He thought about what he was going to say before he said it, first screening it for accuracy, and then filtering it with compassion for the other person. He was tender beyond explanation and selfless in his need to be right for the sake of being right. A rare man, indeed. Finally, my dad's eyes reflected a selfless focus on others. Whatever Dad liked to do, he loved sharing it with others and seeing joy on their faces. Dad picked the perfect career for himself as a salesman because he genuinely wanted to make people's lives better. Whether it was the perfect fit for that new pair of shoes from Benoit's, or the perfect snack from Keebler. And his last job certainly was his favorite, selling souvenirs and talking baseball all day long in the Sea Dogs gift shop. But what he really knocked out of the park was being a dad. I'll never forget the pleasure in his eyes when he taught me something, like how to throw and catch a frisbee, to swim and not be afraid of the deep end, and especially when he knelt beside me at night and he taught me to pray. But the greatest thing my dad ever taught me was sacrificial love. Out of his love for me and John, Nancy, Kevin and Amanda, and little Nolan, he never complained when he was suffering or struggling, ever. And if you didn't know him well, you might think that I'm exaggerating right now for the sake of this special moment. But I assure you, I'm not. No matter how bad he felt or how limited his physical capabilities, he remained grateful to be alive, to be with us anytime we were with him, and never complained. We had to practically beg him to tell us if he was uncomfortable or in pain. To the very end, his focus was on his family and friends and making us comfortable rather than himself. My dad had his Heavenly Father's eyes, indeed, and in every way, I will spend the rest of my life trying to emulate his character and his willingness to offer sacrificial love. My dad liked to keep things simple, so I will close with a Bible verse that sums up how he lived. It may be short, but it's the real deal, just like my dad. Micah 3:5 says, God has told you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God.